All right. Well, howdy, y'all. Welcome to Once Upon a Time in Texas, episode number 71. I am your host, Michael Mitchell. I'm actually, when this goes live, I'm actually off at scout camp over in Damascus, Arkansas. And, so that's when this is going to load up. But I just happen to be a little ahead of the game this time. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot of what's happening now because I do have a guest with me today, and I'm super excited to talk to her. And I suspect this podcast may run a little longer than normal because it's something near and dear to my heart and hers as well. And so basically the theme this week is there are tons of foster children in the United States and in Texas. So what if you feel the need to help, but you are not too keen on the idea of having a foster kid in your home? And that's okay. So how can you help? Not everybody has to take a kid, right? So today we have Tamara Booher with 2Ingage, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about how everyone can help. Of course, if you want to take a kid to your house and foster them, fantastic. Y'all can probably hear my dishwasher in the background because we are here in the Once Upon a Time World headquarters, also known as my kitchen. So you're probably going to hear some funky noises. So anyway, she's here to talk to us today a little bit about how you can help without taking a kid home, basically. So before we jump into this, as always, I want to thank our sponsors. That's me and Victory Home Loans. If you know anybody moving to or in Texas, and of course Oklahoma too, send them my way. At themichaelmitchell.com, TheMichaelMitchell.com. I'd love to help them get into the home of their dreams and handle their mortgage for them. So I'm not going to go through my whole spiel. You guys have heard it if you're hanging in there in episode number 71. So as always, though, where did this week's idea come from? Well, Tamara is a buddy of mine. We are in Rotary Club together. I actually invited her to Rotary Club, and she's come, she's presented, she's awesome. We've been buddies through our kids for a long time. We were involved with daughter number 1 in Girl Scouts for a long time before we made the switch over to Boy Scouts, which is now Scouting America. So known Tamara, about 20 years now? 18 years? 20, something like that? A while.
Yeah.
A while. And anyway, and of course, as I've mentioned, we sort of have a foster child now. So we fostered a kid for a while, a kid that we knew. And now she's been placed with us permanently. Just don't think we could have asked for a better scenario in getting a kid. We were not, you know what? We're just going to jump into this. So,
you were not
so Tamara, yeah, you know the story. Basically, we were not fostering type people. And when I got a phone call, my wife and number 1 daughter are out backpacking in New Mexico at Philmont Scout Ranch. And me and my son are in Washington, D.C. with my cousin. Yo, you didn't know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, I get a call from basically a friend of a friend kind of thing. And he calls. He's one of our former Eagle Scout, or well, one of our Eagle Scouts from when I worked for the Boy Scouts. And he's laughing. And I was like, "What's up, Kyle?" And he goes, "I think either his wife works for CPS or she's friends with Sarah, who now works for 2Ingage."
Yeah.
And he goes, "CPS is trying to run you down, man." And I'm like, "For what? What did I do? I haven't beat my kids recently, you know?" And he's like, "Ha ha ha." He said, "No, there's a kid from Kirby Middle School that they're trying to find a home for." And I said, "Look, brother, I'm not interested in fostering." And he goes, "Well, you need to call her. They've been trying to run you down." And that was during my transition from being a teacher to being a mortgage guy.
Yeah.
And so I had left, and they didn't get a hold of anybody out there that had my number. They didn't call the right people. But anyway, so he gives me the number to Sarah, and I talked to Sarah, and I was very polite to her, at least I think. And I told her, this is probably a pretty hard no, like 95% no. But now I'm intrigued. I want to know which kid we're talking about, because I'd had this kid as a teacher, and she told me her name, and I went, "Oh, she was not one that was on my radar." Well, coincidentally, she was also in our female Boy Scout troop, and so we knew her very well. And she's a great kid, just wonderful, very happy-go-lucky.
She's a good kid.
Parents fell onto some hard times. I think deep down they are genuinely good people, and I don't think they meant for any of this to happen. They just kind of hit some hard times, some big roadblocks, and just haven't been able to overcome that yet. And so I don't really well, I'd like to say I don't get upset with him or with them. But I do still a little bit, and I do still talk to her mom, and her mom likes to call and talk to me because I don't pull punches with her.
Yeah.
You know, I'm pretty honest and upfront, and so there's still a good relationship there. You know, although foster kid has now been placed with us permanently,
Forever
and
home.
so forever home. So she is our kid. So anyway, so we're kind of a unique situation, I think. And so really, I want to talk about. So you don't work for CPS.
No.
You work for a company called 2INgage.
Yep.
And that's the number 2, and then INGAGE.
Yes.
Okay. And so what is 2InGage to CPS? How are you involved with foster kid stuff?
So 2Ingage is who CPS contracted with in June of 2020 to manage the kids and the parents once a child was removed. So,
Okay.
Yeah. Previously, it all went to conservatorship upstairs in the building, and then in June of 2020, 2Ingage completely took over everything. They'd taken over, I believe it was in 2018, like placements. Mm-hmm. So when a child was removed, they just handled placing. But then in June of 2020, they took over everything. So once a child comes into care or was removed, 2Ingage immediately gets involved and then manages that child and family until either reunification or adoption.
Okay. So you guys are basically handling all the back end stuff.
Yes.
Kind of. So after a child has been removed. So CPS does all the investigation still. When you call in, make a report, which everybody should. Everybody, I know teachers and police officers stuff were mandatory reporters.
In the state of Texas, everybody's a mandated reporter.
Okay, that's good to know. So everybody's a mandatory reporter. Good.
Yeah.
And it's fairly easy to do it. Now it is, there's a lot of information you have to put in, but doing a report is not terrible.
No, and you don't have to know everything.
Just do the best you can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do them online. You can call the 1-800 number. If you call the 1-800 number, you're put on hold for a little bit. It's way better than it used to be. It used to be like a 45-minute hold even for a worker. Mm-hmm. But it's better and faster now. If it's an emergency, they want you to call 911 and call statewide intake. Call the number. But if it's, which child abuse and neglect is always, to me, an emergency. But if it's not something that they need to go out on in the next, within the next 24 hours, then they want you to make an online report. You can.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's good to know. That's very important because I know a lot of teachers would complain about having to do it. We all felt the need to do it.
Yeah.
We wanted to do it when we heard things because kids inevitably tell us stuff. But those reports are so long, and it's like, and I do think they've gotten better recently. Yeah. And so it's good to know, like, do your due diligence, as best you can. Now, CPS is not expecting people to go out and investigate and all this stuff on their own, but if you suspect abuse or whatever, it's better to turn it in than not.
Yes, it's better to take the chance of saving that kid's life than to not.
Absolutely. Okay, so 2Ingage basically handles, I don't know, I'd call it, the minutia on the back end. So if kid has been taken in.
They're the ones that are trying to get the parents all the help that they need so that kid is safe and can go home.
Gotcha. Okay, so you guys do handle all that stuff. And so it's not just about the kids.
No.
So it is about getting parents help, and there are things that they have to go through, like sometimes, sorry, I'm taking all the stuff out of my pocket.
You're fine. Yes, they have to go. They have, sometimes it is usually some kind of therapy, psychological evaluations, things like that, drug treatment. They have like plans that they follow through.
Right.
And they're supposed to complete them before they can even get the chances of getting their child back. But it's anger management. It could be BIP, which is a Batter's Intervention Program.
Okay.
It can do the variety. It depends on what the case is about, like what makes the children or the child unsafe.
Gotcha. And
then everything that they do is presented to the judge, and the judge monitors it as well, and they kind of determine from there. All
right. So 2Ingage sounds like a great thing. I know that my experiences, me and Jesse's experience with fostering was pretty good as far as dealing directly with 2Ingage. Like they were, our caseworker Sarah was absolutely amazing.
She is amazing.
Oh my gosh, probably one of the most kind-hearted people I know. And I don't know how you guys don't go home just super angry at night. God bless y'all for doing what you do. And I know I've told you that, and I know I will never say it enough. Medications, lots of alcohol, Mike. We've got a margarita machine in the lounge. But it's true. You guys do have a tough job, a very, very tough job. And Sarah was wonderful. You could tell that she really cared. And I know that there were times that she would come over here when she had particularly tough cases, just because she was like, I just need a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
I need to come to somebody that's not an issue. And so she got to be pretty good friends with our foster kid as well. And so, all right, so back to 2Ingage. So 2Ingage, are we United States wide? Are we just Texas? Or what are we looking at with 2Ingage?
So 2Ingage is just in Texas.
Okay.
Our parent company is actually TFI.
Okay.
And they are out of Kansas. And so our parent company has small companies under it, kind of like 2Ingage.
Okay.
And so we just covered 30 counties here in, I guess, North Texas?
North,
Yeah, from Wichita County down to Brown County, over to like Hardeman, Nolan County, and then over to Montague.
Okay, so basically kind of like Wichita Falls metropolitan area, I think is what they call it, and then like Abilene metropolitan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, our biggest towns are Abilene, Wichita Falls, and Brownwood.
Okay, so TFI, did they have other organizations like you that cover other areas of the country?
Yes. So we just got the contract for Dallas.
Okay.
For a couple of counties around in Dallas, and it's called Empower.
Okay.
And so they call it 3E. Dallas, the region 3 is pretty much DFW. It's so big and so populated that they've got it broke down into different contracts because of the amount of kids and the amount of families. So we do have the contract. We have the Empower contract. I think I don't remember exactly when they went live. They've been around maybe a year, maybe not even that long.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this then. I know I'm putting you on the spot. So if you don't know exact numbers,
I'll guess. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm just make it up. That's what I do. Make it sound good. So number of kids in foster care average on any given day in Texas. I mean, are we talking 500? Are we talking 10,000? Like what is a number that you would think would be looking at foster care?
I don't have a number per day. I can tell you, so the state works on fiscal years.
Okay.
And so in a presentation that I do weekly, it is for fiscal year 2022, there were about 29,000 kids in foster care.
Holy smokes. Almost 30,000 kids in a year, just in Texas.
Yes.
That's incredible. Now, it's probably somebody dropping off mail. So, out of that 30,000 kids, I mean, now, I'm sure that there would be a lot of people that would assume, are those like migrant kids or illegal kids? Is that something that you handle? Kids that come across the border illegally? Because that's a big deal right now. I mean, it's in the news. We got the presidential election coming up, not getting political. But I think there's probably an assumption that a huge amount of those would be, illegal immigrant kids coming across the border. Is that the case, or do you know?
So I don't know, but I don't believe that is, okay. You know how they catch them, like fleeing, or they catch them down at the border, or they catch them, they'll catch them in the desert or something like that. We don't work with them in that aspect. Technically, they're not abused or neglected. They're parents,
just coming in illegally.
Yeah, they're coming in illegally or whatever. So that doesn't mean they're abused or neglected. I believe that is handled, I'm guessing, by like ICE and the federal government.
Okay.
Now, this, like in Texas, there are a lot of families that are undocumented. And so when CPS gets a case on a family that's undocumented, it's very difficult for that family because they immediately think that you're the government, you're going to take my kids away, or you're going to send me back to where I'm from.
Right.
That's not the case whatsoever. I used to tell families all the time, I'm not here to take your children away. As long as they're safe, that's all that matters to me. And so there's no reporting, none of that. But when a child does come into care that is undocumented, then we try our best to figure out where their family is and to work with them. Okay. And sometimes that means going back home. And it's not always bad. That child, if they only knew mom and dad here and something happened, then now if mom and dad are picked up on an ICE detainer and that child's left home alone, then it is a CPS issue.
Gotcha.
Because that child can't be home alone. We have 2Ingage has actually worked with the Mexican consulate to get kids back with family.
Which is your ultimate goal, right?
Yeah. I mean, we want them with family, and those kids want to. It's awesome. It's awesome when something like that happens.
So kids have been removed, and your goal on the back end is family reunification.
Yes. So
get the parents the help they need to be able to get their kid back and have that cohesive family again.
Yes,
and just in a better way.
Family reunification though isn't always mom or dad. Sometimes it's aunt or grandma or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, that's their culture. Those are their people. That's what they know. And so even though it may not be mom or dad, we look for a family member. And they continue to look the entire time that case is open. We actually have people that are called family finders. Their job is to stalk the internet.
Run those family down. Okay.
Yeah, and find people.
So, now one thing that I was surprised about, CPS is not the same in every state.
No.
And so rules and regulations are definitely different in each state. And my understanding is Texas is a little tougher. So it's tougher to remove a kid in Texas, is my understanding.
It's gotten more difficult.
Right. And rightly so. I mean, we want to make sure that we're, But, I mean, we're still doing the right thing. But, however, I mean, once a kid's been removed, the kid has been removed for a good reason. Mm-hmm. And then you guys do a very good job on the back end of you guys as parents or whoever have to go through these steps to get your kid back because we need you in the right headspace. And so it's not just a... basically give it a week or two, mom and dad get a vacation, go take a pee test and get their kid back, right?
No. An average case is about 12 months long. The judge will give parents 12 months to complete everything, kind of get their life together and everything like that. During COVID, they were extending them out to like 18 months.
Right.
Judges will occasionally still do 18. Sometimes you have a parent that is working on getting everything together and then they realize, oh God, I've got a ticket. I've got to, and I don't have this much money, so I'm going to go sit in jail, for 45 days. Well, while they're in jail for 45 days, they can't work services.
Right.
They're not out doing the things they need to be doing. So sometimes the judge will be like, okay, I can extend it out a little bit, set your time, get out and continue what you were doing.
Gotcha.
And so,
So that's good. So, I mean, and it is good to know that in other states, CPS can be different. Mm-hmm. And so, because that's all state regulated.
Well, some of them. Some states are county. CPS it's all county.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
I just learned a couple years ago.
All right. So let's hang a right here.
Okay.
Let's kind of jump into some of our purposes. Well, that's a good umbrella of kind of, so everybody kind of understands. So we understand, kind of how it works, and that you guys aren't the big bad wolf kicking down doors and taking kids away. You're not ICE, you're not all this, and so you really do want family reunification. That's great. So let's talk about how people can help. I know you and I have had a lot of discussions about.
Yes.
We were happy to have our young lady in our home. Feels like she's always been here, has always been a part of our life, and so. It was a very good fit for us. However, I will say the process on the back end was difficult. And yes. I assumed going into this that there was just tons of support out there. And then we get this young lady. She comes to us with basically a backpack. I mean, she has like a pair of underwear and a bra, pretty much, and maybe another change of clothes. And so she came to us, and I know, for instance, there are clothing closets in town. Mm-hmm. We couldn't find anybody who had a key or anything. We ended up going and spending a significant amount of money
to find her clothes.
Yeah, getting her clothes, and that
doesn't count everything else that she needs, hygiene products or.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so it was. I will say the process on the back end was disappointing, and I know, I will say that Sarah and the other folks with 2Ingage, and I think this was before you came on, or maybe you were on and I didn't know yet, but.
Yeah, I don't know.
But the process was a little disappointing just because there wasn't a lot of support. It's like, and I'm not saying that they weren't amazing. Sarah, just amazing. Sainthood, no doubt.
But once your hands are tied and you don't feel like there's that's what the issue was.
Sarah
didn't know where to go or what to do or anything like that, and that's what my job is. But that's what I can't. Either I had maybe just started, or everybody up there wasn't familiar with what I was doing yet.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And so your position is kind of, well, I say fairly new. You've been doing it, what, a year and a half?
Almost 2 years. 2 years this month.
Okay. All right. So then in that case, they didn't know because we've had our kid 2 years in August.
Okay, then that's what it was. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
so
I was
that's
still
probably what it
training and nobody knew. I mean, I had a title, but I was still trying to figure out, like, what do I do? What's my job?
Right.
Yeah.
So, and basically, so you're a resource officer. What is your official title?
The foster care navigator.
Okay, that sounds
Sounds
weird.
amazing. Yeah, navigating. I don't know. I don't know where they came up with the name, but I work for community engagement. So some of the people I work with that do the same things I do, they're called community engagement specialists.
Okay.
So but I'm the foster care navigator because my job is grant funded and my job is to recruit foster parents. But I do so much more community. I mean, like trying to find resources, spreading the word about what we are and who we are, and getting things for families all the time.
Okay. So, and I know we've talked about, so obviously there's community organizations where it'd be nice to have a little help. For instance, daughter number 2, as we call her now, 1, 2, and 3 are all interested in working out and everything, and my wife and I too. But like we talked about the YMCA, like it'd be great if maybe they had a discounted rate or just or a free rate or something for foster families, or same thing for other companies or organizations. Like not necessarily free stuff. Obviously, that's not why you want people to become foster parents.
No.
But it would be nice to. It is expensive. Kids are expensive.
Yeah, they are.
So
that's what's frustrating. So, like I know we've talked about before, like you're not going to make money becoming a foster parent.
Yeah.
Like, no. I mean, unless your child just doesn't need anything at all. But you're not going to make money. You know, a lot of people don't even realize you get paid for it, honestly. When a lot of people talk to me, they're like, they had no idea they got paid for it. And I was like, yes, you do get paid for it, but it's not enough. Like, you're not going to come out with, like, money at the end of every month. So, I mean, by the time you pay bills and everything. So, the issue is that you took in an extra mouth.
Yeah.
You took in a whole extra person, and a lot of times it's unexpected. And so, you know, because y'all weren't looking for this, you know? And so, I mean, it's a blessing, but it's not something you were seeking. So, it's expensive. And when you're feeding a whole extra person every month, a teenager, you know, or a baby formula,
right.
You've got clothes, you've got laundry. I mean, it's all of the things. And, you know, if you want to, you know, you're used to having your 2 children, you know, for years. It was
just us.
Yeah, it was just y'all. So from the moment they're born, y'all start immediately thinking like, you know, if they want to both do something. You know, for years it was paying for 2 kids for a camp or something like that. Yep. And then you throw in a third. And it's difficult. It's hard.
It is, definitely. And I will say, again, this is where 2Ingage stepped in a big way. Beyond question. So our foster was going into 8th grade when we got her. And as 8th graders at the school that she went to, they do a Disney trip.
Yes. And
so, thank heavens that our caseworker, Sarah, went out and she worked with several other folks in 2Ingage. And I think it was like $1,500 for her to go. I don't remember the exact number. But it was like $1,500. And I think we had to pitch in the initial $200. Mm-hmm. And then they were able to get donations from people to help kind of cover the rest of that to make it just a good trip, good experience for her. And it was. It really was. You know, is that expected for every foster child now? I mean, that'd be nice. You know, if anybody from Disney out there is listening, man, work a deal for foster families.
You just holler at me.
Yeah, exactly. Tamara Booher, Wichita Falls, Texas. You can look up my number at themichaelmitchell.com and I will get you in touch with Tamara. But, yeah, you haven't, you know, Make-A-Wish Foundation has some cool stuff. Yeah, it'd be nice to maybe have some stuff like that. You know, Oklahoma City Zoo, Six Flags, the Perot Museum, stuff that's close to us that would be, you know, hey, if you're a foster family, like, you know, 2Ingage, we'll give you guys whatever, 20, 50 tickets a month, whatever.
Something.
Yeah, get them out just to, because you're right, it is tough. It's like, oh, I mean, you know, and I will tell you, and I don't tell many people this. I had saved up for a while. My wife and I have been married 22 years this upcoming December. And I had plans. We wanted to go to the Galapagos Islands. because we were both science teachers and everything.
Yes.
We're kind of science nerds, and we wanted to go to the Galapagos
That's awesome.
Islands. And my plan was to go for our 20th wedding anniversary, and then we ended up with our foster child, and it didn't work out. And looking back at it now, it's still absolutely something I would give up again, for her in a heartbeat, because she is an amazing kid and she deserved this opportunity. But I mean, that just goes to show, like, we had saved up money, and that's money that we had to shift elsewhere, and plans we had to change, and even vacations, and I'm blessed. I've got, lots of friends, good family. Like, my family just took her in as just, I mean,
like she belonged always.
Yep, hugs, kisses, like you've always been
Yeah.
here. Like, we just didn't change your diaper, And so it's been very good. But what are some other ways that the common person,
Like a normal person.
yeah, so somebody who's not interested in foster. Well, hang on, let me back up.
Okay.
So we fostered, but we're not licensed.
Yes.
And so you were talking about money. So whenever the opportunity came for her to be placed with us permanently, and there's a couple of different avenues with that. So we didn't adopt her.
Nope.
This is a permanent placement. So we are legal guardians, because the parents do still have some legal rights. And that's a whole other story. And not going to get into it, but they do still have some legal rights. She does still carry their name, which is fine, but she's been placed with us permanently. For us to continue getting the little bit of money, and we didn't get a whole lot, but we did get a little bit, $400, $450 a month, something like that, is what we got paid by the state while she was in foster care. For us to continue getting roughly that amount, we would have to go through licensing.
Yes.
Which was a little bit, not expensive, but...
We broke it down, and I think for an average family to become licensed, it's between $300 and $600. And the reason that gap is so big is because it depends how many people you have in your house.
Gotcha.
So, because everybody has to have electronic fingerprinting and a background check.
Right.
And everybody has to have a TB test. So, you could have like 2 people in a house, or 1 person, or you could have 4 or 5. It just depends.
Right.
But the state does have, you've got to have a fire extinguisher. There's just certain minimum standards that every house has to have.
Right.
Y'all definitely have them, but it also can make your life a little different than what you're leading.
Right.
Like
Things like,
normal-
it is Texas.
Yes.
Most of us have firearms.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading, some of the regulations on that. They have to be double locked.
You have
Me
to
and my
divide
wife,
them.
and all my kids, we have the Leatherman multi-tools. I've got mine on right now.
Yeah.
I carry it with me everywhere. I was asked, and they said, well, that
It's a weapon.
it has a knife on it, it's considered a weapon. And I'm like, no, literally, it's called a multi-tool. It's a tool.
what
it's
it's
not.
called.
Yeah. I guess weapon depends on how you use it, but a knife is a tool in my mind, and
Yeah.
it always has been.
Yeah.
But there were lots of regulations like that. The fire extinguisher thing, like you just said. We do live in an old house. We do have fire extinguishers, top floor and bottom floor, and we should. But then you have to go through the whole. The fire extinguishers have to be tested and checked out each year, which there's
year. Which we do have. We do have a company here in town now that they cover that for foster parents.
Right. Oh yeah, James Lane.
Yes.
Which she's also in our Rotary
Yes,
Club,
she
which
is.
is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the whole process of that was kind of a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
And so we actually chose not to go through the licensing process. So once we took her and kept her, we don't get paid by the state anymore. We do receive, and I'll be honest, just everybody out there, we do receive. Her mother or one of her parents was on Social Security disability, and so because there's a certain allotment that goes to a child,
You'll get that.
Yeah, basically that's funneled to us, and we do okay enough that we funnel that into a savings account for her and use it to do things.
Oh, that's awesome.
Scouting and vacation, but
I love that.
yeah. So we even bought her a car. Of course, the one out here that you can see up on Jack's right now, but. I had a friend of mine selling a car.
It's a car.
It is. It's a car.
That's all that matters.
I had a friend. They were going to sell this old Ford Escape and he was like, "We were just going to sell it to the junkyard for $200." I'm like, "What's wrong with it?" And they're like, "It's been sitting there for 2 years.
I'll give you $200.
We just never drive it." And I'm like, "I'll give you $200." Yeah. And
205.
Yeah, it needs a little bit of work, and so I'm going to make. She and I are doing the work on it, and it's not pretty, but
she doesn't care because it's a vehicle.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but there's little things like even just a little bit of help with that. It's probably going to cost us $500 or $800. Well, I know tires are probably going to cost us $400 easy.
Oh yeah, at least yeah.
If there was some way that we could find some places that would help,
Foster
just
kids.
with some little things, especially foster kids and foster families, and so. All right, so now that takes us to the next question. The question. Let's go back to that.
Okay.
If people aren't ready and or willing, but have the heartstrings pulled for a foster child and they know they want to help, how can they do that?
There are a million ways. So I'll just kind of start naming off some things. So recently, the state of Texas said that every kid in care has to have luggage. They have to have a suitcase.
Okay.
Because kids are removed. I did investigations prior, and there were times that I removed kids that didn't bring anything with them, or it was a Walmart bag. So more than likely, whatever she came with, you mentioned, is all that she could bring. There were some times that they didn't take anything with them, but a piece of luggage, that's theirs. And so we did luggage drives, and we still accept like new luggage. We had a wish list for Amazon for people could have it sent to us. And so when kids come into care, we do give them a piece of luggage. I did get to see that in action the other day with a little boy. I was helping with, it was some siblings, and I was helping. I think he was 6. And he had a little suitcase, and he was pulling it behind him. And he said, ma'am, do you see my suitcase? Isn't it cool? And I was like, it is cool. It really made me happy because I helped with that. It was like, oh, it's like I love that he loves it. And then, so you can donate things. And we say new suitcases, but there are people that have suitcases in their home that look brand new. And that's, right. We would take that. But like, it can be suitcases. It can be, kids right now, and I didn't ever think about that until today when I was approached about swim lessons.
Great idea.
Yeah, right. Kids are removed from 0 years old to 17 years old. And you don't ever know who knows how to swim and who doesn't. And drowning is, at least in Texas, like a huge way that children die every year.
Yeah, that's a problem.
A massive problem. So I had a caseworker earlier reach out, and she said, hey, I have kids that need swim lessons. I don't want anything happening to them, and I want to know that they know how to swim. And so I started racking my brain thinking, I've got to find somewhere. Mike, you mentioned earlier the YMCA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Our local YMCA made some changes. What's that been within the last year, 2 years? They rebuilt and
they've done some things.
Yeah, made it. It's huge and everything now, and they have so many more things that you can do there. And that is a perfect place where children are safe and their parents are there, or their foster parents, whoever it is, their caregivers are there, and it's a positive environment, and there's things for them to do there. And then, they also give discounts if you're a member, if you're not a member, things like that. Like he mentioned, we've been talking about driver's ed.
That's an expense for sure.
Yeah. Driver's ed here in Wichita Falls is about $380. Yeah.
Just on a side note, if there's any insurance companies out there that want to help underwrite insurance on a teenage kid, foster kid,
yeah, you holler.
TheMichaelMitchell.com. Y'all look me up. God almighty.
Yeah, I'm paying, and mine's 18. I'm paying $460 a month right now.
Whew, Lord have mercy.
Yeah. You're fixing to have 2, so good luck.
Yeah.
It's literally, people can help in any way. It is, whether it's spreading the word about the need for help in the foster system, that's a lot of it.
Right.
You can tell 4 people about it, and they can turn around and tell 4 other people each, and it just spreads.
Right.
As far as clothing, we do have a large community closet here. I do know people now that have a key, by the way.
That's good to know.
Yes, I did. Yes, and I have a way in now and everything, so that is a plus.
Yeah, because literally it's a half block away from my house. It's
we
right
there. We could walk over there now. Yeah, it is right there.
We could, but it's hot outside.
Yeah, it's real hot.
I wouldn't. We'd take a car. But.
Yeah, definitely. And wait on the air conditioner to get cold.
Yeah, that's right. I'm old and fat. Come on.
But furniture is a big deal too. And I know that probably sounds strange, but like beds. So
that is a big deal. I didn't even think about that, but we daughter number 1 was wanting to kind of remodel a room anyway, and so we did end up. We got lucky. We found a lady who was a parent of one of my wife's former students, and Jessie made the connection. She had a bunk bed. And so made the connection, and I think we got it and the mattresses for like $100.
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, and it was great. And so yeah, for sure, when we're done with that, we're maybe a while, but we're probably going to end up donating those.
Yeah, that's honestly betting. So many kids come into care, and like y'all's situation where y'all were fictive kin placements.
Right.
That's a lot of it. We have tons of kinship and fictive kin placements that they weren't expecting in their child. Most people, if you think about it, most people don't have an extra bed laying around their house.
Yeah, no. And she's saying fictive, Fictiv.
Yes.
It sounds like victim.
Yeah, no. Fictive.
Yeah, fictive.
So
they kept saying it, and I was like, when they came in, I was like, what the hell is victim placement? Like, we're not victims. Like,
no, and I'll just tell everybody. So fictive kinship placement is when you do not have a relation, like you're not related to that child.
Gotcha.
So that means like you were her teacher.
Right.
And it could be, how sometimes like you've got like your best friend and the kid's called like aunt or uncle so-and-so and they're not. Yep. That's a fictive kin.
My kids have Uncle Mark.
Yes.
And Aunt Kim.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely.
And then kinship is when it's family.
Okay.
Yeah,
all
kinship
right.
is family. Fictive kinship is not family, but it's somebody. It's a significant role in that child's life.
So, let's say somebody did have something big. So, I mean, obviously we already have a car, so I'm not making the ask for a car. But, say that you do know somebody that has a foster child and, a friend of theirs says, you know what, we do want to donate a car, and they would like the tax write-off for it. Could they give that through 2Ingage to be passed off to? Okay.
Yes, yeah, we are. 2Ingage is a 501c3.
Okay.
We are a nonprofit, and storage for some. Oh, well, that's another way people can help.
Storage.
Yes.
Okay.
Honestly, I know that probably sounds like the craziest thing ever, but one of our caseworkers, somebody contacted her the other day. She's involved in some nonprofit stuff around town, and they said, we have a crib, a dresser, and a bed, and it's in great condition, and we want to donate it to you. Well, I don't even have an office at our building. I have a closet, and I had to beg for it. So, because everybody's remote, so There's no space. Luckily, this caseworker had a place to put it, but and as she's talking about it through our chat, somebody else spoke up and said they needed one of those pieces of furniture, I mean, we can find places to stick stuff. I mean, my God, I could keep a car at my house right now if I had to. But storage is a big deal.
So really, you guys need, for Wichita Falls area, it would be great if you guys had a barn, if we had a giant barn with
a barn or a climate
offices in the front.
Not necessarily climate controlled. I was gonna say a storage, some kind of storage. Yeah, a barn with some offices, that would be great. Any kind of space like that. I mean, if somebody here in town had a building that they used for storage, so I know people like that or whatever that have, if they had that and had part of it that was being used and they were like, hey, y'all can use it, we would jump on it because we could put items in it.
It's funny you say that. I actually may know a guy. Maybe I do actually. I've been talking to him quite a bit, and we've actually been talking about a building he's got. I'll tell you about it here in just a minute once we're done. But that may be a totally different deal because then it's a write-off because you're donating it to a 501c3.
Yep.
And, I may have something for you. And it's a lot of real estate.
Is it?
It's big. Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. I'm sure I can fill it up.
Yeah,
Give me some time.
We'll see.
After this goes.
Yeah, after this goes, we'll talk off more. So money, basically anything that a child would need.
Yes.
2Ingage or
not even a child, honestly. So
or
we
parents,
also we also help the parents. They're trying to get their life together. Sometimes they've been homeless or they've had to leave the home they were in for a variety of different reasons. I'm contacted all the time. People need a refrigerator. Those are expensive. And when you have a set of parents that have maybe had drug problems, they've been in and out of jail, things like that. Well, they're clean. They've gotten jobs. They're not making, $30 an hour, like that.
Right.
And so they're, worried about keeping insurance on their vehicle. They're worried about paying, for the deposit and first month's rent and all that kind of stuff. And they're trying to furnish this home so that they can bring their children home, that's hard.
Yeah.
Parents really struggle with that.
I can see that.
And they do what they can. And then the caseworker normally reaches out to me and is like, hey, do you know somebody that has a refrigerator? Or do you know somebody that has a couch or beds, like we talked about earlier? I've had like dishes.
Just basic
we've
kitchen appliances. Yeah.
I went through my own home and put things in a box and taken to families.
Wow. So really just kind of anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, I'm like, if you're not sure, then I'm like, call me or Facebook message me or email me. And I'm like, yeah, if we can take it, we'll take it.
And so along with that, I just want to be clear on this, and we're going to land the plane here for too long, but so basically 2InGage is just in Texas, although there are similar organizations throughout some other states that are kind of under your umbrella. But if somebody, because I do have listeners actually from all over the world. I've got some from Russia and Australia and in the UK, but there are child welfare somethings basically covering everywhere. And so they just need to find out basically they could probably just call their local CPS.
Yeah, they could call their local CPS.
Start there.
Yeah. A lot of places, at least here in Texas, we have child welfare boards. Usually through every county. I don't know about other states. I don't know how it works in other states, but I do know here in Texas, we have child welfare boards that cover usually the county of where that child was removed from. It's the child's legal county. And those boards will cover the children that have been removed from their county, because their idea is we want to help those children and we want them to be able to come back to where they're from.
Absolutely.
And child welfare, our local ones that I work with through all of Texas Selma are amazing. They're great. They do whatever they can. They all take donations of money. They don't normally take items because they're a board, a group of people.
Right.
But that is who helps. I can easily make a request to them, and some of them are a little more, I want to say frugal, I guess.
Yeah.
Is the best way. Frugal with their funds.
Tight.
Yeah, that too. But they have to be. Some of them
Right.
some of them have a little more flexibility or whatever, but the boards do a lot of good work.
Okay. Well, that sounds great. So it may take a little bit of work finding the right folks, but you can't do wrong by trying to help a kid out.
No.
Ever. And helping folks that help kids is absolutely important. And of course, I've got lots of loves, Rotary and Boy Scouts and teachers and all that stuff. But really, this is something that has become near and dear to my heart, especially having kids of my own, and then now having a foster kid placed permanently. Like this is a problem.
Yeah,
it's absolutely a huge problem, and it's kind of that dark area that nobody wants to look at or talk about. Kind of like human trafficking.
Yeah, well,
everybody knows it happens, but nobody wants to talk about it.
Oh no! When I've presented to groups and talked to people before and told them some of the things that happen in their community or in their county, you can tell the people that are like, that doesn't happen here. Like, oh, there's not meth in Wichita Falls, and I'm like, oh, it's like the meth capital of the world,
right? I think everybody says that though.
Yeah.
I've heard that about Electra and Abilene and Amarillo, and it's a tough thing to kick. I'm sure
abuse happens, and it's your neighbor. It's the perpetrators are sometimes your neighbor.
Right.
It's happening to every, and then because like you mentioned, you would have never thought that it would have been the child that's in your home.
Yeah.
That needed help.
Yeah, she wasn't on the radar.
Yeah, exactly.
She wasn't. And I guess what I was thinking, and from that get-go, was that she wasn't one of the ones I ever did a report on. She was one of our scouts. She was one of my kiddos at school, and it just hadn't crossed my radar.
Yeah.
But, man, I'll tell you what, I encourage everybody out there in the listening world, take some interest. Find out what's going on with it. Tamara, I can't thank you enough for being here today and listening in. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. So what do y'all think? Let me know what other kind of weird, off-the-wall, interesting Texas history or people you'd like to hear from. Of course, if you have any questions or if you are in Wichita Falls, Wichita County area, or really just Northwest Texas area, if you're interested in getting in touch with Tamara or 2Ingage, reach out to me through the website, themichaelmitchell.com, themichaelmitchell.com. Check me out there. Ask me. Fellow Rotarian Tamara, I will get you hooked up and absolutely see what we can do. Thank y'all for tuning in to Once Upon a Time in Texas. As always, remember, the stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. Y'all have a great week.